Hey folks, how you all doing? This is Con over coming to you with another episode of Company of Heroes 2 Fight Night. Is spawning down here in the south in yellow trunks. We have the Wehrmacht forces of GlorieuX. And if I'm saying your name wrong, well, I don't know how to say it correctly. And spawning up here in the north, playing as our British player, we have the forces of Joe PIZZI. And before we get too far into this particular game, let's go through the company commander, shall we? So, even as GlorieuX decides to spawn out a infantry company and start bringing in his grenadiers, or not grenadiers, excuse me, but his, his grenadiers. Wow, I don't play Wehrmacht enough, do I? Let's just check through this. So we have mobile defense doctrine, kind of standard thing going forward here. Assault support doctrine, which is another one you kind of see a little bit more often with, well, not really with Wehrmacht, actually, now that I think about it. I mean, the cargo truck is great and all that, but, you know, I don't really see it too often myself. And Osttruppen doctrine, which, considering he's bringing grenadiers right now, it does not look like we're going to see Osttruppen doctrine. Meanwhile, up here in the north, Joe. What is Joe bringing to the fight? Joe, first of all, is bringing in a universal carrier as well as a nice little Vickers squad going on right here. But for commanders, what has he got? Commando regiment. So, of course, kind of hitting behind enemy lines, doing all that kind of good stuff right there. And that looks like that's who he's going to pick immediately. So, look to see a lot of his second front opportunities, I guess, coming from our British player. Even as our individual players begin to cap out the map, we see an MG42 move over here to the western side, and I don't know. Oh, he's setting up right now to kind of cover that VP. So my guess is that this Vickers is going to totally come up here and be totally fine. And then he's going to move to the south and get completely and totally wrecked. Let me turn down these sounds just a little bit. And as we're kind of moving forward, I might be adjusting that as well. But alright, so everyone, I was going to just shift back to the overhead map for a second. We're kind of going to a 50-50, we're headed on our way to a 50-50 map. I'm surprised not to quite see too many pick up at the standard territory point right here, but I guess what's going to happen is going to try to push around both flanks as the Brit player. And it looks like Glory over here, as I was going to call him Glory versus Joe. So Glory over here is just going to kind of hold down the point. As MG42 might be able to force off, let me turn that sound a little bit more. Might be able to force off this Bren carrier, especially if it continues to be this kind of clumsy about this. And with this right here, he flanks around that MG42, but at the same time, he just needs to have just a little bit more. Pick up that Panzerfaust, that could be pretty bad for the universal carrier. And even so, good lord, that poor Vickers is sitting out in the open negative cover, and he's still going to get wrecked, son. Okay, well somehow, I'm not sure I necessarily agree with this, but I will say that that machine gun was just asking for it. And good lord, that brain carrier goes down immediately, so we have quite a loss going on for Joe. He's left now with a very, very hurt squad of machine gunners and another infantry section on this far side of the map. Pardon me. Even so, it looks like Joe's got himself at least a little bit of fuel coming out, although I do not agree with his decision to set up so far away. But I guess what he's trying to do is sneak in his MG42. Never mind, he just decides better from that right now. And Glory over here says basically, hey bro, if you're not going to bring more troops onto the field, I'm just going to dominate you. And Joe right now really is kind of up the creek without a paddle. Going for a quick tech to pick up AECs, but considering where he is right now, the AEC does not look like he's going to come in too quickly, and he wisely makes another infantry section. And right now, surprisingly enough, the Brit player is the one in the lead in terms of VPs. We got 1-0 cap, just only 500 to 495 for the Brit player. And even so, we see our Brit player kind of picking up a little bit of territory, which I'm really surprised at. And even more surprising, we see another Bren carrier. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with this, as Glory starts to go into like a machine gun spam. Yeah, not exactly what I was expecting at all. Yeah, this is not good. As the game kind of backs up into more of a calm setting for the moment, we do see a 1-to-1 cap go on. Excuse me. It's a little bit early in the morning, and my throat is a little bit parched. But now we have 3 machine guns setting up. I'm not sure if we definitely put this PIO squad out here by itself, but you know, then again, there's only one infantry section on this entire side of the map. And even as I say that, of course, I think that machine gun is finally retreating. Where is that machine gun? Yes, he is. He's finally retreating. He might drop a model here. That's not too likely. The K98s get a little bit brutal. But even so, what do we got here? Well, we have the map falling further and further into German control. And even though there is that next Bren carrier coming out, there is a Vickers squad that's getting wrecked. And now we have an MG42 moving up here as well. So even though there's a trench in the middle of the field to really delay and abuse the mobility, he's also kind of trapping his Bren carrier in the line of fire for this machine gun. And surprisingly enough, this cap is still not up. I don't know why this cap is still not up. This really needs to get working over here. What's going on, boys? What do we got going on? Okay, so this pilot squad's been forced back. This trench still, this is going to kind of chill here for quite a while. And if he connects this strategic point, he's going to be way better stead. Interestingly enough, Joe PIZZI over here just has to put the flamethrower Wasp variant onto his Bren carrier, which is going to be good early on, especially if his infantry sections get some nice, lucky fire like that. But as we see the machine gun set up, he's going to get forced right back to his home base. I'm a little concerned right now that we're not seeing a little bit more active play coming out of Glory. He has ticked up to Battle Group 1, which is definitely going to open up the opportunity. Wait, might we see a Panzerfaust here? And here's the Panzerfaust. Damages that engine, and even though the Grenadiers over here get wrecked, gotta pull him out, bro. Gotta pull him out. There we go. It looks like he'll get away in time. It looks like Joe PIZZI is surprisingly forcing back these Wehrmacht forces, which is not doing my heart real good to see. I admit I'm a little bit of a Germanophile, and with them getting forced away, we might see a cap opportunity come in for for Joe. Excuse me. So what we got right now, 488 to 480. This Bren carrier over here is definitely asking to be picked off. And we're not seeing a whole lot of micro really coming out of these players. We are seeing a 222 come up from Glory, but even as I say that, there's an AEC on the way for Joe, which is definitely going to limit the long-term efficacy of his 222. This infantry section might get caught just barely, but they might also just barely be able to set up in time. No, they don't, but they pick off, they lose a model, but at the same time, not a whole lot going on there. But yes, as these squads kind of build themselves up for the next bit of strife, let's say, the 222 comes out, the AEC's coming out as well, and maybe what's going to happen is maybe this 222 comes out to the other side to pick off this Bren carrier. I think that might be the best option for him right now with a very, very limited AT for Joe. And so that 222 comes up. No, refocus. There we go. And I don't think this Bren carrier is going to get lost as well, which means there's a lot of fuel investment and very, very weak. Oof, never mind. And very, very weak vehicles has been taken out very early on this map. Now, surprising to me is the fact that right now this map looks pretty even. That early domination by Glory definitely did not pay as many dividends as I thought it was going to. And even as I say that, this looks like this 2-2s might get picked off. There goes the main gun on it right now, and he's not going to move it in time. And there we go. So now the machine gun is probably going to get lost over here as 2 Panzerfausts get dropped on that AEC. Yes, it does, and looks like Grenadier Squad might try to pick it up. No, never mind. Maybe he's not. He's going to jump away. Retreat, you fool. Retreat. You're suppressed. There we go. But alright, so the second AEC coming up on the way, and finally an anti-tank gun's coming out for our German player. And with an LMG out in the middle of the field, you might see a little bit more anti-infantry coming out. Not entirely sure why he's trying to chase down this AEC with a Panzerfaust. Maybe one more Panzerfaust might do it, but even as I say that, he thinks better of it and retreats. As this MG42 puts fire on this engineer squad, it's just kind of chilling over here by this mission point in the center of the field. But alright, so Glory has now dropped the army advantage. He's now a little bit behind. It's going to be even more behind when that second AEC comes out. And now this Vickers squad continues to be a boggart in the back of his mind. Taking out this western strategic point and definitely cutting into income for our German player. But alright, so what do we got over here? So we have another weapon racks coming out. So we have PIZZIs coming through. We might see ourselves a couple of Brens. But what we will not probably see is it's not going to be a trip cap, I don't think, unless this MG42 pulls out right now. He's probably going to run right now if he's going to survive. This MG42 might get picked off. We might see some more squads get lost by Glory. And I think this is going to be a lost squad right here. It's just AEC, this fresh AEC picks up, I'm guessing, this MG42. Yep, and there it goes. So, at the same time, though, this AEC might have a lot of concern as this pack moves forward. I'm not sure. There we go. One more hit's going to do it, but the AEC drops himself a smoke grenade and does not really need to worry about it for quite a bit of time. I mean, it's definitely possible to have this Grenadier squad move up and use another Panzerfaust, but I'm not sure it'd be necessarily the best use of munitions. And even though this infantry squad is now right up here in the center, this engineer section, excuse me, might pick up this VP for a trip cap. These PIZZI might actually force away this Grenadier squad. Good lord, this Grenadier squad drops super low. Super low. And the Grenadier squad that was pursuing the AEC gets dropped. So I'm not entirely too impressed with what's going on right now with our, unfortunately, German player. And charging in a 2-2-2 next to PIZZI may not be the best opportunity either, even though PIZZI are a little bit notorious for missing into longer ranges. But yes, so what is going on the rest of the map? Well, it looks like finally that trip cap's not going to happen. And bizarrely enough, we will see this watchtower get picked up. This is not something you see too often because the sniper's nest is not really that durable. Alrighty. What do we have over here, though? We have a glider coming in at the same time, too. So maybe right on top of this 2-2-2, that could be kind of a beastly attack. I'm not sure if it's going to get crushed, but even as I say that... Oh, wow. The infantry section with a PIZZI gets dropped, and that's just not going to be great. But right now we have ourselves another commando squad coming in, and the German player gets forced further and further back. I'm not sure what he can do right now to kind of get back in this. Well, he probably does have to pick up this glider pretty quick, and it's really quite damaged. So if he gets a 2-2-2 in there early on, with the support from his AT gun, he might have had a chance. Unfortunately, a lot of his troops are really badly wounded. And he doesn't have a lot of stuff that's going on here. He's got the fuel income from maybe a light vehicle, but it's not going to do a great amount. Like, again, half-track, no big deal. And the 2-2-2, I guess an AEC is not a great opportunity. Maybe forcing away this... Oh my gosh, that's going to be terrible. This commando squad. But even as I say that, there are now mines going down in the field. There is a explosive device, let's say. I can never think of the actual term for it. No explosive device. Those Germans are going to move in there and they're going to get wrecked. So I don't know if it's going to look very good right now for our German player. At the same time, he decides to go for that mobile defense doctrine and pulls in that Puma to kind of deal with the AECs. Kind of a very hefty investment to pick up his, the AECs, but even as I say that, of course, it looks like this AEC is going to get dropped. Maybe if this Pack 40 comes in... Ooh, he just barely misses short as a Grenadier squad goes down at the same time, too. So, folks, I do not know what to tell you. The AEC is going to get one final, irritated shot off, but... Yeah, this is not what you want to see. So now this commando squad's an MG42, and with the map completely in our British players' favor, I am not too sure this is going to go very well. But here we go, now we got Osttruppen coming in at the same time. I would have thought that if he was going to go with Osttruppen, he would be using this a lot earlier. And even as I say that, though, the second AEC, the one with the damaged engine, makes it in and starts to wreck our German player. Good lord, that was quick. So unfortunately, the 2-2-2 gets picked up. The Puma gets picked up. And now this engineer squad's, again, backed away, but I'm not sure it's going to be quite enough because the Osttruppen are not always that great unless they're stationary. And then again, at the same time, they pick up that engineer squad. The Royal Engineers get picked up. It's been tons and tons of death going on over here. At the same time, another squad gets dropped by GlorieuX. I think it was his PIZZI squad. And here comes a Panzerfaust on this poor AEC, which might be just pretty close to Vet 1. I have to say I'm not entirely too impressed with what's going on here right now. At the same time, here comes that whole, oh my gosh, what's that ability called? Counter-attack tactics. Looks like take that to cap pretty darn quick. But with these squads so low, he's got to lose somebody else really quick. Back up. Micro, you fools. Micro. Unfortunately, those squads get pretty beat up, and they're going to charge right back through commandos with an LMG. So it's got to be dropping at least one model. And my guess is the other squad's not going to make it. And I'm right at that particular moment. So, ultra low in terms of troops so far. Not in terms of casualties. Casualties have been left, right, and center. And I just say it's just been brutal. If you do not want to be fighting this particular battlefield, this machine gun's not opening up either. Why isn't it firing? Okay, well the machine gun didn't fire at all. And this Piat and these commandos are definitely going to force him away. Whew. But at the same time, we are only halfway through this entire map, folks, so get buckled down because we are nowhere near yet near the end of this. 55 to 472, the Brit player definitely has himself the lead. And this 222 might be able to pick off and pick on these commandos if maybe he just stops and fires with that 2cm autocannon. But another glider gets called at the same time. This one looks like it's going to be over on the eastern side, perhaps? No, it's not. It's actually looking to double down. Where are we looking? I missed the grenade coming down. Oh, no, never mind. It comes down the eastern side. Looks like it's just kind of control that victory point right about here. But I have to say, Joe PIZZI seems like he's got himself a stranglehold on this particular map. It does not look too good. Although one glider does get picked up over here. Actually, now that I think about it, it's not really technically picked up. As long as you just capture the point, there's no issue right there. And strangely enough, these Brits decide to create a trench under fire with those Piats. Pardon me just a second, folks. Need to get myself a sip of a tasty beverage. And meanwhile, this 222 is definitely begging to be shot by this Piat. Kind of an interesting Piat, by the way. The Piat was like basically the first kind of spring-loaded a man-portable anti-tank weapon. Basically what it looks like, if you imagine kind of one of those, like a Nerf gun almost. You cock around, you pull the trigger, and at that point the round comes off, and then after it has cleared the launcher, it kind of turns itself into kind of like a miniature air bomb. And really the best way I can think about it really actually might be a Nerf weapon. It's a Nerf anti-tank weapon. Not to say it didn't have its own ability to kind of affect change and definitely take out armored vehicles, but its use as an AT weapon was vastly limited, unfortunately. But alright, so let us take a quick moment to kind of think about how this field is going. Well, these Austruppen over here are not in a really great position. I would be backing up right now. Screw taking the munitions point. But then again, good lord, we do have the AT weapon setting up over here. And that AEC does go down. All the same, guys, you have one model left. And it looks like you've made... Wow, that was impressive. I was surprised to see that. That seems like it was a very, very risky move here. Especially now that he's taken the point. It's time to fall back. It's time to fall back. It's time to fall back. There we go. And Glory wisely pulls back his Austruppen. At the same time, though, these commandos are coming on this east side, and it looks like there's an overload of British forces coming from the east and moving west of going on over here. Definitely have this Vickers pointing for some reason off the edge of the map. Not entirely sure why that's going on here. But we see ourselves another booby trap going on over here, as well as the one that still continues to remain down here for our German forces. So while the Germans have made some significant gains to get themselves back into this game, I have to say the British forces do have them not so much on the run, but kind of feeling the pressure. But another pilot squad comes back in, and what do we see? We see a detonation? No, we don't. We don't see a detonation. We're going to have an incredible amount of damage on that 222. And yes, it looks like we're taking a moment to kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But alright guys, I'm going to take this moment to basically say thank you so much for all the support you're showing this channel. I've been blown away by the amount of support you've been showing to this series of videos already, and I hope it kind of continues moving forward. If you at all have your own videos that you want to see, want me to do your own replay, let me know. Post a link to your posted replay on coh2.org/replays, and I will be more than happy to do that. Or just leave me a message and to let me know where it is. I'll be happy to find it, and I will be happy to cast your game for you. But even as we speak over here, in the meantime, we see ourselves a Vickers go down, and that Vickers gets dropped inside the house, which I always kind of thought to myself, if a squad gets taken out in a house, and the house is still standing, I should be allowed to move somebody in there and pick up a weapon. But hey, maybe tracking is not the easiest thing in the world to do. But alright, over here, though, we have ourselves a Centaur tank, which I never really agree with, to be honest. And even though there are mines going down on this field, excuse me, we do have some Panzer Grenadiers coming out at the same time to kind of support the glorious Wehrmacht force. Excuse me, I don't know what was going on there. And those Panzer Grenadiers get wrecked just as easily as those Tommies with those Stens just rocking nice and close and go, hey bro, this is my Tommy gun, get it? Ba-dum-bum. And wow, at the same time, he loses his MG42 as well. So I'm seeing a very, very quick pickup and then a retreat. And those British forces, which were kind of not too much dogging it, but at the same time, were by no means outmatched, blob up and charge forwards in the way that only the British forces can. And with these AT guns moving across open cover over here, I'm not sure, maybe it might see another drop coming out here. Even with this 222 might not help too much. I'm surprised to see this Centaur tank, which I don't agree with in the first place. I'm surprised to see that it hasn't moved up and been a little bit more involved with this particular attack. But now we do see ourselves a mass retreat, even as Joe PIZZI uses another glider. But thankfully now we finally see ourselves a Panzer IV command tank moving in to kind of turn things around just a little bit. But that short barrel, though, I'm not sure it's going to be too much of an impact, but it might be good for dealing with all this infantry. But alright, so what do we have over here? We have ourselves, so the glider came down right on top of this 222. And this cannon bomb might do a fair amount of damage to this 222, and does, but I'm not sure there's going to be enough. Maybe the Sten gun's really able to take it out? I don't think so. Oh wow, and the Sten guns do somehow manage to pierce that light armor and take out those poor, poor Germans behind the wheel. I would say things have slowed down a little bit, but of course they have not. We do see ourselves a 1-to-1 cap, 281 to 466. And if I were the German player right now, that's right, put fire on that glider. That cannon bomb is not going to do much to the armor on a Panzer IV. And even these Pios over here should be more than enough support to take out these commandos. Don't chase, though. I will say so far, I've not been 100% impressed necessarily with what's been going on in the play for both sides. The unit conservation has been pretty minimal. And that PI, if we're going by historical means, is not going to do much against this tank. But cannon bombs galore, and we do see the armor get pinged just a tiny bit. Maybe not the best use of munitions right now, and right now if I were the if I were the British player, I'd be pulling back. One is not going to do well against that short barrel Panzer IV. Even though he continues to miss left, right, and center. And there gets dropped one commando squad, as well as that LMG-42. And although the munitions point gets picked up, at what cost? As this other squad is probably going to get picked up. Yep, there goes another commando squad. And although this Panzer IV just kind of continues to sit here and just pound on these infantry, how many kills does he have already? He already has, what, 13 kills? Is that what that says? Yeah, 13 kills already. It looks like he's going to pick up his 14th if he does not move too much. And as that engine moves back into his forward firing arc, I have to say, I'm not feeling too sanguine about the chances for this poor, poor engineer. Ooh, but somehow he manages to make it back, and the commando squad instead picks up a Piat. Ooh, never mind. He gets pinged from a great distance. And what had been a clear domination for the British player has now swung back in favor for the German player. So good lord, this game has been having more flips and twists back and forth than kids playing on a playground with a seesaw. Excuse me, what's been probably been a little better. It's swung back and forth more rapidly than people playing on a seesaw. But hey, that's neither here nor there. But meanwhile, what do we have over here? So this Centaur, which has really not done a whole lot to my knowledge, apparently it's been forced away by its AT guns. If I were the British player, I'd probably have gone with a Cromwell. Be a little bit more infantry support, as well as being able to take on tanks. And it definitely has a little bit more armor, I think, as well. You might have to correct me on that one. I will say the Firefly being brought in is a nice way to deal with that Panzer IV. And the tulip rockets on the sides of that particular tank would be just as good to do it. What I am surprised about, though, is to see that this other glider over here continues to be a viable reinforcement point. But yes. So where are we right now, folks? Where are we right now? Take a look at this overhead map as I take myself another sip of my tasty beverage. Alrighty. So yeah, this map so far, it looks again a 50-50, which definitely surprises me with the way this game started out. But it does look like we do have our British player lying in wait for what he seems to be an attack on his glider over here. So yes, So what do we have over here at the same time, though? We see the commanders kind of moving here to the west to kind of cut off that fuel support a little bit more. And has this German teched up? This German has not teched up anywhere near enough. So we do have to escalate battle phase 2. It might be a good opportunity to build something, anything. So all we just have right now is just basically just these light mechanized company and infantry company, which is not going to be enough to deal, especially with a second Firefly that's coming on the map in about 30 seconds. But yes, these MG42s continue to be a little bit of a pain, even though they are not vetted up at all. And basically no one on this field has any kind of veterancy whatsoever besides one pack. And I tell you, just having a single star of veterancy, I forget what that does. Target weak point. So maybe that might be enough to turn around this vehicle conflict. But if this British decides to convoy in, I tell you, I am not feeling too great about what's going to happen to the rest of these forces. And the Firefly reveals itself by firing on these Osttruppen, which is probably the best way to look at it. And of course you see ourselves as another one of those ubiquitous Panzerfausts, as well as, oh good lord, that Firefly was just kind of like, okay bro, continue to fire at me, I don't care. And that Puma comes in and picks on him along with the help of that Pack 40, and good lord guys, we might see another flip coming around on this one too. The glider continues to get blown up and blown to pieces. Kind of impressive about the gliders. They are essentially just falling planes. I have to tip my hat to anybody who decided to jump into that or jump out of that by any means whatsoever. And here comes a tulip rocket. It's going to go and impact. No, not tulip rocket. Just a regular rocket. Just regular fire. Just impacting on that Panzer IV and wisely backing away, dropping out that smoke grenade. Even as that MG42 now buys it because of that Centaur tank in the middle of the field. But alright, so what is going on here? So the Sherman is, not the Sherman, yeah, the Sherman, the Firefly is definitely, might be a little bit buggered. And is buggered. Good lord, we see another swing again. So, although the Centaur might pick on and take out this Puma, let me rephrase, it's going to take out this Puma. Oh, retarget, my friend, retarget, and there goes the Puma, but it looks like the Panzer IV is going to make him pay for his temerity. And I'm probably going to just hound him to death, because I'm not sure that that autocannon is going to be enough. Oh no, it is. It's pinging away that paint a little bit at a time. But if I were the British player, I would not be setting myself up here. The main gun now destroyed, that Centaur is going to buy it. Poof! And what looked really, really dire for our Wehrmacht player is now looking better and better. Although I will admit, this addition of commanders over here with another glider, there's been tons of glider drops coming in throughout this particular game. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with the decision to use as many gliders as he has. I probably would have gone with a little bit more of an AT, or rather not AT, and put a little bit more investment into either vehicles or, well, just really a macro game, which has not required him to drop gliders quite as much. Generally on the higher levels of play, you do see gliders get dropped, but you take one at a time on a western side of the map to be a critical reinforcement point. You don't see them dropped willy-nilly all around the map. But alright, so where are we right now? Take a quick look at the overhead map. We do see a couple of squads of PIZZI moving up to kind of contest this Osttruppen cut-off, which has already happened. So this fuel point and the strategic point out here to the west is not going to get a whole lot for these poor troops. But the Sten guns are going to wreck these Osttruppen. Especially the addition of these peons, I have to say. It's time to book it, guys. It is time to book it. It is time to book it. And it does not look like it's going to book it. And those poor Osttruppen get picked off. Those Romanians never had a chance. And I don't think they could pick these up. It'd be really kind of cool if support teams could actually pick up light weapons. But I think it'd probably be broken at the same time. But even while that happened, so the Panzer IV came over here to the western side and picked on, well, and as long as they decap this point, this glider does them absolutely nothing. So another 500 man, wow, it's 500 now, I kind of forgot about that. So 500 manpower kind of going over down the tubes. And surprisingly enough, we do see not a trip cap approaching, but we do see maybe a 2-to-1 cap approaching as the German player does pick up more victory points on his British opponent. 248 to 362. The cap right now is 1-0, and we will see a 1-to-1 cap, and then we'll see that swing right back into favor for the German player. As troops kind of continue to kind of lick their wounds, kind of like get everything back in order, and maybe what needs to happen is maybe Joe needs to tech up one more time. Not the universal carrier. What am I looking at? Maybe not a Firefly either. But Cromwell will be enough to kind of swing this around, and he finally looks like he's going to go for a No, he's bringing another Centaur in. Why are you bringing a Centaur in? Yes, it's great for the anti-infantry, but there's 2 pack guns, and there's a Panzer IV command tank. And he's got enough fuel to call in another Puma. Is surprisingly enough, oh yeah, no. He seems to be calling it Panzer Grenadiers. So yeah, guys, as we're thinking about this right now, I can't say I really agree with what's going on with these decisions here. Bizarrely enough, these Osttruppen just decide to fire their surplus K-98s at this poor Horsa glider. And moving back over here to the center, we do see these Piats are going to try to pick on this AT gun and toss out the Gannon bomb. Thankfully missing, but at the same time, good lord, guys, those explosives are never really that great going on here. Oh, but we do see finally a mortar pit coming out from these engineers. It's the first emplacement of the game, but will that be enough to swing it back around for our intrepid British player? I have to say I'm a little bit skeptical. Where is that fire coming in? Right down over here. Yes, those Panzer Grenadiers taking a lot of fire. It might be better for them to kind of book it back to home base. But no. Hey guys, I just want to point out the fact right now, like I want to be supportive of these kinds of players, but if your troops are taking this amount of fire, you gotta have better unit preservation. A couple of years too, troops get so beastly once you actually let them get some veterancy. But if you don't get the opportunity to get veterancy, as you see right there in that poor Centaur tank, which I really still don't agree with, things are not going to go well in the long term, and right now I do not know what this British player can do to get back into this game. He had a great amount of, a great lead really, but now if you look at the army size, he is down basically 5-1. He is outnumbered in vehicles 2-0. He has a very stationary machine gun over here to the eastern side. Might as well just keep this on over here because this engineer squad's going to get picked off any second now. And he goes down to less than 10 pop gap. We're going to see ourselves probably a surrender any second now as Glory decides to pop his cap points quicker ability. Which, for the cutoff, is probably going to be the nail in the coffin. I'm sure that the coffin has been pretty well shut for quite a while. So yes, guys, thank you so much for tuning in on this particular fight. I have to admit, I was hoping for a little bit more aggressive play coming out of Joe, but it does not look like that might happen. And meanwhile, the Panzer IV command tank stops right over top of an explosive device. Blow the device, my friend. Blow the device. I just want to see what would do it. Just do it. Please do it. Joe's flooding a ton of manpower right about now, and that poor glider gets broken as well. And I think Joe's pretty much thrown in the towel. Under a trip cap, 32 minutes in. Pretty much put back into his own area. I am really surprised to see that this has not been a much more active game in terms of utilizing his own forces. You wouldn't even see once. I know air supremacy is definitely a hard thing to use against a more mobile opponent. But considering how Glory has blobbed up the middle of the map, I am very shocked to see. Alright guys, this is over. Joe, I'm not sure if Joe is thrown in the towel or Joe's at a DC or what's going on with this one, but Joe's got 2 Royal Infantry. 2 Royal Engineers rather, excuse me. But he's calling in a little bit of an FU glider coming in over here to the western side. My guess is probably right back into this area once more time. One thing about those gliders, I can never be too 100% sure where they're dropping in. Oh, no, he's right on top. He's right on top of his previous friend. So though we have the glider coming in right about now, not much is really going to happen. So yeah, guys, that's going to be pretty much it. We see another commando squad coming out. Where is that commando squad? No, not coming out. He's just charging back through, trying to pick up a little bit of points in the end. But yeah, so as this other commando squad gets themselves iced by this Panzer IV, I believe. Oh, this is the Puma. No, this is the Puma over here. Not sure. Geez, no, but there's the Panzer IV coming in right about now. So yeah, guys, this is over. Thanks so much for tuning in. When we come back next time, we will see ourselves another fight night. I think I have another 1v1. I think I have another 2v2 come up at the same time. So one way or the other, you will get yourselves a lot more Company of Heroes 2 action. And as our final British troops fall before the Eagle of Germany, Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Con Ulrich signing off any second now. You all have a great day and a wonderful evening.